All right, Ryan. Well, I'm back, as you can see, obviously. And I think I know we talked about it. I think it's safe to say, man, you need to sign up for sports journalism. You need to get yourself into some broadcasting classes because, hey, the future is always bright with Ryan Renner in it, considering him going over these game recaps for the UConn Huskies. What a tremendous job again, Ryan. Even after back-to-back losses, somehow, some way, we still look towards the future just because of Ryan Renner being in it. So we want to thank you again, even though back-to-back losses, first time in 30 years, you were a part of the game recap, and that's all we could ever ask for, right? So all is well, all is well. No big concerns. We already knew that all good things come to an end. And hey, I mean, there has to be some high standards out there because you told me this morning, well, Phil, UConn is still a 1 seed. So some of the higher ups out there, some of the more important people, if you will, they're still seeing something that maybe not even some of your diehard UConn fans are. But let's get into Georgetown, Ryan, because not only is this a game last check-in important, but we have a special guest coming on tomorrow. So this is a double for us, huh? I mean, this is the big weekend. So we want to get into this last check-in, and then we want to make sure that maybe that we inform her or we prepare her a little bit more, so she is ready to go for tomorrow around 7:00.
Yeah, a little sneak peek of what's coming tomorrow evening after for the game recap after the game. So we're very, very excited about that. But yeah, I want to talk about that just for a second about the net ranking that the committee came up with last night. Net ranking of the top 16 seeds for March Madness, and they had UConn as a number 1 seed, which might surprise some of you, might not surprise some other people, but I guess it's some good news that we can look forward to. And maybe if UConn goes undefeated the rest of the way and wins the Big East tournament, they might be a number 1 seed after all. But we'll just have to wait until the official rankings come out. But for Georgetown, they're an even 12-12 on the season, 5-10 in Big East play. UConn won the first matchup on January 15th by just 15 points. Another game that was maybe a little closer.
You mean you're telling me here we go again, huh?
Just maybe a little closer than what we were expecting last time as well. But junior guard Kelsey Ransom, still the leader of the Hoyas and the 5 major stats except for blocks. Guard Christina Moore, forwards Grayshawn Bennett and Jada Claude. Also some players to watch for Georgetown. We're recording this Friday morning, of course, coming out on Friday. And we're still yet to hear a word about Caroline's status. And I'll tell you guys now that if she's out again, I'm going to be a little nervous watching this game because Georgetown, I think, is a similar team to Marquette, just for the way that they play defense. So they're obviously a physical team, and we saw what happened against Marquette, another physical team in Marquette. So I just hope Caroline can play. We know AZ isn't going to play. So, and to be honest, I don't know if Caroline's going to play again this season. I hope she does. I hope she comes back for at least March Madness, at least hopefully after the Big East tournament, if anything else. But I was kind of thinking about the AZ situation a little bit, and it kind of reminded me of Paige last season and how she came back and not 100%, talking about Paige last year. And, those two might not be related at all, but we definitely want to make sure that AZ is 110% certain that she's completely healthy, completely healed up before she steps foot on the court again. But I think what UConn needs to do in this game is just stay disciplined. I don't want to see another 20 turnover game. I want to see smarter passes. It doesn't have to be perfect, but I want to see improvement from the last game. From an offensive standpoint, Dork and Aaliyah, I think they need to box out a little bit better and grab those rebounds. And the same goes for the defense on the defensive side of things for rebounding. But it's just that UConn, I don't think she should be getting out rebounded. against some of these teams, considering how big Dorka and Aaliyah are down in the paint. And something else I want to see as well, UConn getting out in transition again. And I think we've seen less and less of that some of these games for probably the past month or so. But I think that probably just goes back to the starters being too tired at some points to even run down the court and get out in front of the opposition like we're used to seeing out of these UConn teams. But that's part of their game, out hustling and outworking some of these teams. So I think if they can get out and transition, it'd make them a better offensive team and help them score some more points. But I think this is going to be another interesting game against Georgetown.
And can't you just imagine? It seems this way all the time. I mean, teams should be doing this anyway, watching film and tape on, especially the best teams in the country, just to see, just to prepare. And I think it's interesting because when you look at the roster for Georgetown, you're only speaking about you're speaking on behalf of one senior and one graduate student, Christina Moore and Grace Ann Bennett. So I mean, that's no, I'm not going to sit here and say, well, it's a young team, Ryan. UConn automatically has it, and to say the least. I think you and I should really stop, even though we're not going to. We'll give our predictions at the end. Man, it's when you predict a score now, it's like it's a closer ball game, like within 10 points. When I start to predict the score now, this UConn Huskies women's basketball team is starting to get upset. So I don't know if it's a good idea if you and I stop predicting the score or what needs to happen here as far as our side of the story, because the actual podcast has already been to blame for some of the UConn Huskies injuries. So I can't wait to see what's next, if you know what I mean, in the comments section. No, but I mean, it's going to get interesting because the main point I wanted to do before we get into comments in the last check-in on this video against Georgetown, I wanted to mention to you how important it is now. They're going to sit back and they're going to start commenting. Just hear me out before you start with your fingers la-di-da-di-da typing away, right, Ryan? It's very important around this time of the year and I'm sure Gino is aware of this. Now, I'm going to put this out there now before I tell you whether you can get on the same page as me or not. Ryan, it's very important around this time of the year that you play it safe. Now, I'm not telling you, Ryan, well, had the UConn Huskies go out there against these games, because they're only this is like a game separated between them and Villanova for the conference.
Just one game.
I'm not telling you, man, that it's not important to lay back and chill and if you win your conference, big deal. If you don't, big deal. I still believe that they're going to get a spot in March Madness, right? In March Madness, whether they win the conference or not. I'm not saying that's an important role. I get it. You want to win your conference. When you're in the UConn Huskies situation that you're in with all these players on the bench, my question to you is how many, obviously the answer is 0. How many more do you want? And we never want to see anyone out with injuries, but how many more, does it take? It's not even a question that makes sense. How many more injuries does it take for the UConn women's basketball team to get better? None. You don't want to see any more. And why I bring this up? Because it's February the 10th. All right. It's February the 10th. So what I'm saying is you have to be aware of what's going on. What games really, really strengthen you and matter 30 years from now, and which games I don't want to say kind of do not matter, but I don't know if you can see where I'm going with this or not.
Yeah.
Play it smart.
I think that goes back to what I bring up just a couple minutes ago about Paige Becker's last season. And that's why I said about AZ Fudd, about bringing her back and making sure that she's completely healthy, because I don't want the same thing to happen to AZ that happened to Paige again this season.
You understand.
Now she's out for the season.
Exactly. So that's what I'm trying to tell you, because you brought up Caroline Ducharme. If that's what it takes for this team to succeed even more when it really, 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 really counts. Why do you really want Caroline Ducharme in here right now to begin with? You know what I mean? You have to use your common sense. This is around the time, I like to say it, beginning of February, middle of February, end of February, March. You got to use your common sense, Ryan, if you know where I'm standing.
Yeah, and for sure, I hope Caroline would be 100% healthy when she does get back on the court. And it's been sounding like she possibly could return this week and possibly tomorrow evening for against Georgetown. But
yeah.
I definitely want to see her, if she's healthy, come in before the Big East tournament, because I just think from a chemistry standpoint, obviously they've played together long enough now. We're already in February, but I think just to bring Caroline into the lineup off the bench, so she can start warming herself back up and start to get back into the groove of things before March Madness starts. I think that'd just be good for the team. It'd be good if she can definitely play against Villanova next week. Because obviously, like you said, it's a big game because they're only one game ahead of the Villanova Wildcats now for the Big East crown. So that's definitely an important game. And I think all of these Big East opponents that we have left on the schedule, all 5 or 6 of them, besides Villanova as well, are also very important. But I definitely hope that Caroline can return before the Big East tournament. More specifically, it'd be nice if she could return definitely for that Villanova game.
All right, well, here we go. Yanis Press. I've been telling y'all, this is not Gino or UConn year, and Paige will go down as the greatest player to never win a national championship.
Well, unfortunately, that seems like a reality and more more realistic every year. We get closer to Paige graduating now, which is definitely unfortunate because we definitely thought we'd for sure see at least one title, at least one with Paige Beckers wearing a UConn Huskies uniform. But I mean, obviously, let's just hope that she can return for next season. I think, we've all been waiting for next season as thinking about it. Everybody's going to be healthy, but I mean, it's definitely interesting because I think after after the South Carolina game, we all thought we were going to get the rematch and UConn's gonna make another run at it, and now we're sitting here after a back-to-back loss thanks to Marquette, and now we're all not so sure if they can even make the Final Four. So I think our opinions are going to change after every single game, but it's definitely going to be a grind, and I think it might be even harder than what it was last season. So it's definitely going to be interesting, but I'm definitely not counting them out yet. I still have a little belief in them that they can get it done and that they can get another rematch against South Carolina.
No, but what's most important to me is that they can still make the tournament. That's really all that you can ask for. I mean, when you really think about it, put yourself in some of these situations, these other schools where they go winless or where they win 2 or 3 or 4 games. People, it's amazing. People have so much to complain about, but I want to make sure that you put yourself in in the shoes of other schools who have maybe never made a tournament before. They maybe made it before, but they never won a tournament game before. There's a lot of different things to be, you got to count, especially when it comes to sports, man. You got to count your blessings. Even if you don't win it all, there's only room for one, and I keep telling you that, but it seems like people is forgetting.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think in terms of UConn, I mean, they could lose every game that we have left, and I think they'd still make the March Madness tournament. But it definitely is a good point. I mean, some teams have never made it, and UConn, of course, the expectation is probably Final Four at least every single year. So.
Yeah, and then Jay Frank goes, let's hear all the excuses for them. I know y'all got plenty of them for UConn. Yeah, well, they play these games for a reason, Ryan. So again, there's some people out there that want it to be this way. There's actually some people out there that wanted to be this way. Too bad it never won't be, because UConn is just that good. Some people wanted to be like, all right, oh, that's it. They lost back-to-back games. They lost to South Carolina, lost to Marquette, and now they're in danger, or they're not making the tournament at all. No, it's just, no, and again, you want to put your respect on these games. You want to, you want to make sure that you own up to, yes, I lost at the end of the day, but come on, it's always when you're as good as this program is, isn't it always next game up and the next woman up mentality?
And I'll go back to saying that that's just the price of winning it, and that's the responsibility and the power that comes with winning so many times, and what comes with being number one for so many years, that you have all these expectations every single year that you're only gonna lose 1 or 2 games or go undefeated, and expected to, like I just said, make the Final Four and win the national championship every single year. And that's just what comes with the success of the UConn Huskies. Everybody knows that they're the best women's program to ever exist. They probably will be for a very, very, very long time after Gino is gone from this program. So it's just the price that comes with winning. And I'm sure there's a lot more people that want to see UConn lose than want to see them win. So that's why we're so grateful for you guys that continue to tune in. But no, I mean, it's definitely interesting to see, because UConn hasn't won in what has it been, 5 years. So it's definitely a little bit of a drought that we're in.
Yeah, it is, Ryan. Johnny 2XS. Man, I'm not going anywhere anytime soon. I love you, brother. But again, if you don't like the show, please do not watch. That's all I have to say about that one. And I speak the truth, and my opinions are straightforward. And that's what a lot of people do not like. They won't ever admit it, but that's okay, Ryan. Predictions presented by Dempsey's in Sportsland. Here we go. Oh, man. Do I want to say Georgetown is winning this one? No, I don't. UConn, Ryan, 68-58. 68-58, UConn over Georgetown.
Well, we never talk about our predictions before the video, or at least the score. No. We might say what team we have winning, but it's just funny to me that we have similar scores for a lot of these games. I have written down here 69-57 in favor of UConn.
Oh.
But I mean, I don't.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what to expect out of this game. Like I said, if Caroline plays or she doesn't play, I don't know if it's going to be close or not. I don't know anymore about any of these games. I predict them to be close, and it's the opposite, like I said. So I just hope that they can improve from the last game and they're not as tired.
Yeah, it'd be interesting because we haven't seen in 30 years, we haven't seen them respond after back-to-back losses since that happened 30 years ago. So here we go. 30 years later, Ryan, let's see what happens after back-to-back losses. Phil and Rye right here on Listen Up.